All right, guys. Today we have Thomas Marrone and Mike Fatum with us from the dev team Star Trek Online, and we're going to ask them a couple questions about the Fleet Week that is coming up. Um, so,
Hello, great to be here.
so
Hey,
Mike is the community manager, and Thomas is the associate art director. And I am very, very happy that you guys were able to give me some time to talk to you tonight. I really, really appreciate it. So I just want to start with that.
Of course, yeah, anytime. Well, not anytime. If you called me at like 5 in the morning, I'd be like, maybe another time.
Well, hey, Saturday I was pretty surprised. So that's awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate it. So let's go ahead and jump into the questions. We saw on the blog post a day or so ago, yesterday I think it was, and there is going to be a Fleet Week. I have not seen that before, and I read through everything. It looks really exciting, and I just needed to know more. So why don't we start with you telling us what is Fleet Week?
So Fleet Week is a week of celebration of the starships of Star Trek. So it's going to start with a week of panels and streams from STO content creators like Kyusaku, Dark Mum, Consortium, and Peace X Peace, as well as a 10 Forward Weekly and a panel on military science and how that leads into Star Trek. And then that all leads up to the big main event day on Saturday the 15th, which will be a full day of panels. Imagine it as a virtual Star Trek convention. So there's going to be guests from all across Trek fandom. We've got John Eaves, we've got Rick Sternbach, we've got the folks from Modifius, and we're all going to be coming together on a bunch of different panels to talk about the starships we love.
Awesome. That when I was reading through it at first, I was like, what is this all about? And I'm reading through each different line, and I was getting more and more excited because it's all the things that I know for myself is really what draws me to not just the game, but Star Trek, which is, the tech, the ships. I mean, obviously the writing, the shows, and what they're all about is excellent as well. But that's the thing, like, I really love, drawing those pictures of the ships and the space battles when I was a kid, and imagining how all those things worked. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Tell us a little bit about how this idea came together, who came up with it, who's organizing it. Give us a little background on where this came from.
Thomas, go. This is your baby.
yeah. Well, it actually it kind of came together because of the new book that Modifius recently released for pre-order, the Star Trek Utopia Planitia Federation source book. And so this book is a source book for the game Star Trek Adventures, the officially licensed Star Trek tabletop role-playing game. And Star Trek Online collaborated with Modifius to provide them with images of dozens, I think over 100 Star Trek ships for that book to illustrate the book using Star Trek Online models. And it sort of made us think of the collaboration that we did back when they released their Klingon source book, and we were doing our year of Klingon, and there was some other the Stream Punks were doing their Klingon show, and so the three of us, Star Trek Online, Modifius, and the Stream Punks got together, and Mike really spearheaded the Day of Honor event as a virtual convention celebrating all things Klingon, and it was a really, really cool event. We had J.G. Hertzler and Bob O'Reilly do a hilarious panel. We had the Stream Punks do they talked about their new show. Rick Sternbach was on with that event talking about the technical stuff they had written about the Bird of Prey, collaborating with Modifius. And of course, we also talked about the year of Klingon and the Klingon content that was coming to Star Trek Online at the time. And so, with this next big collaboration between Modifius and Star Trek Online, it seemed like a really great idea for us to go back to that format, revisit that format, and do everybody loves Klingons and everybody loves ships for STO, and I certainly do. I was the lead ship artist on Star Trek Online before I became the associate art director, and so ships are kind of my baby and my thing and my passion.
And if you want to see a documentary on that, head to the
Right.
STO YouTube channel.
Right, yeah. Mike made a great documentary about that. When we brought the Star Trek ships to Picard, the Star Trek Online ships to Picard. Mike made an awesome documentary kind of talking about that process and the history of their journey from fan to Star Trek Online to canon. But anyway, so this event kind of was definitely inspired by the Day of Honor Klingon event that Mike ran, and just taking that and doing one of those, but all about Star Trek ships because of the Utopia of Nature book, and it was just a natural fit for Star Trek Online because the game, so much of Star Trek Online is about the ships. And so we really wanted to lean into that, and we have a lot of great stuff that we're going to be talking about. And then we were able to reach out to a lot of our contacts and friends and bring them into to talk about like the science of Star Trek ships and the I'm really excited for the Tuesday panel that is basically just my friends, but they are experts though. I mean, one of them is a literal rocket scientist and a Navy veteran who actually designed nuclear submarines when he was in the Navy, and then he actually his name is Andy Presby, and he gave a tour to Rick Berman when they were in pre-production for Enterprise. And so
Oh
Rick
wow.
Berman and Herman Zimmerman were reached out to the Navy and said, hey, we're doing a new Star Trek show, we need inspiration, we want to look at real submarines for the inspiration for this new kind of low-tech Enterprise. And so Andy was the one to give them a tour and talk them through, here's the way the Navy does it. Here's probably how Starfleet would do it, right? And so that panel is going to be really exciting because you're going to get a really cool, really kind of laser focused like comparison of like this is how things are done in the real Navy in the real world, and if you're actually going to build a paramilitary space bureaucracy like Starfleet and the Federation, these are the problems you'd have to solve, right? And so I just I love world building. I love the stories behind the ships and the histories behind it and all that stuff. And so that's a thing I'm really excited about. And then of course the science panel that we're doing um, uh, I'm not going to be on that panel. Our good friend Amy Imhoff, Kate Mulgrew's social media director, she's actually going to be running that panel for us
Yep.
with Dr. Aaron McDonald and Dr. Mohammed Noor, who are two science advisors currently working on Star Trek right now.
And
Um,
also super freaking cool people to talk to.
yeah, yeah, and they're whip smart. All the 10C stuff, how the 10C communication worked in Discovery season 3. Or season four. That's right.
4, yeah.
Yeah. That was all Dr. Noor. He developed that, and so they have a really cool astrophysics and biological perspective on things. And then we also got Rick Sternbach to join us, so he's going to have a really great stories from legacy Star Trek. Rick Sternbach is an astronomical illustrator, so like all the sort of scientifically accurate paintings of space and planets and stuff that you see NASA put out. Rick did a lot of those before working on Star Trek, and then when he came on to Star Trek, he was an illustrator, but also a science advisor, and he actually designed the USS Voyager, the USS Prometheus, the USS Equinox. So Rick has, he's got ship design chops all his own, but he's also, really well versed in the science of it too. And so the idea, the general underlying idea that I've been kind of fostering for this event is let's just it's just a deep dive for people who love ships, and we're going to
Yep.
talk about the science and the art and the history, and we're even going to be talking. We have a great panel lined up with Ben Robinson, formerly of Inglemoss, John Fraser, and Kavita Maharaj. These are people who are all taking ships and turning them into real life products. Bringing them like what does it take to take an idea and then turning into something real that you can hold in your hands, right? And I think that's going to be a fun panel too. So there's just a lot of great stuff that I think it's gonna be kind of all over the place. And Mike, can you talk about the blaster beam thing too? Because I think
Yeah,
that's
absolutely. I was just going to say, as you probably picked up in the last minute and a half to 2 minutes, so Thomas mentioned that I was at the Day of Honor event was kind of my baby, and I had worked really hard on that. And then this came up, and I was like, okay, cool. I'm ready to get started. This is a great idea. Let's get diving in. And then an email came in from Thomas about 5 seconds after we had the idea of, okay, so here's all the panels, here's the people we're going to contact, here's what the show is going to be about. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I don't have to do anything on this one. Great, let's do it. This has really been Thomas's baby through and through. He's pushed I would say 95 to 99% of this, and I've been helping and supporting where I can. But one of the things that I did set up, we've got Craig Huxley coming, who Craig invented a machine slash instrument called the blaster beam, and the easiest way I can get people to understand what the blaster beam sounds like is to say, think of the first 10 seconds of the song Beat It by Michael Jackson, because that actually is the blaster beam. It's this giant steel 5-foot long percussion instrument that he beats on with these rings, and it makes these crazy bass interesting noises, and they tie into Star Trek. Is that around the time this instrument was first invented, they were doing the original motion picture, and so it was actually used as a lot of the sound effects and musical motifs for V'ger. And then when we were putting together our V'ger storyline for the most recent Star Trek Online updates, our composer Kevin Manthe reached out to Craig and got him to play the instrument for our soundtrack as well. So when you hear V'ger sounds in our game, it's the original instrument that made V'ger.
Wow.
And Craig will be coming to the event, and we'll be actually doing a performance with the blaster beam as kind of our opening ceremony.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm so excited. I'm so
It's gonna
excited
be really
for that.
cool. It's gonna be really cool.
The scale of the event is kind of amazing. How long have you guys been working on this?
Only a couple of months, shockingly. It's when you're in the Trek family, there's this just kind of, everybody wants to know each other and everybody wants to help each other out, and it works out. We reached out to, well, I say we. Thomas reached out to a heck of a lot of people, and they all got back and were excited to be a part of it. So
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
pretty exciting.
I've been generally, I was really sort of kind of shocked at how like easily so much of this came together, and like, and how many people, everybody was just like, oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah.
And and I didn't even mention when I was going through my whole spiel earlier, one of the headliners is John Eaves, who your viewers may or may not know is designed 3 starships Enterprise, right? He designed the Enterprise E in Star Trek First Contact. He designed the Enterprise B from Generations, and he designed the Enterprise as seen in Discovery and Strange New Worlds. And then dozens and dozens of other ships and props across Star Trek history. He's been involved with Star Trek since I think DS9. So the kind of late 90s. So and he even did work for the Kelvin movies.
Yeah.
And John's a super sweet guy, and I sent him an email about it, and right away he was like, yeah, that's great, I can't wait to talk to you. And so we're going to have him join us with Andrew Jarvis, who was one of the kind of set decorators on Star Trek Picard. And so we're going to talk about building the ships for Picard, getting the STO ships in Picard, and also sort of decorating the sets and creating the the LCARS look for the Picard Bridge and the Stargazer Bridge, and we actually also got another kind of special guest that we haven't announced yet for that. So stay tuned.
That'll be coming up soon. It was one of those wonderful last minute surprises that came through.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
yeah, it's just going to be it's going to be great. I am very excited about it. And I think
this is Thomas's excited voice.
Well, I'm becoming like more and more jealous, because I have designed many starships myself. Just nobody's ever seen them, Well, some people have, but not on that level. So
I would say post them on Twitter and we'll look at them, but legally we can't.
Some of them they go back pretty far. I mean, I can remember being in a kid in church, sitting on the floor and drawing out space battles at 5 years old.
Oh yeah,
it's and that's why I think this event's really cool, because it really kind of hits that core for a lot of people, just what really really gets us pumped, about Star Trek in general. So this is really cool. All right, so we talked about the lineup. So there's going to be a ship or ships reveal. Can you tell us that much? And is it something that is it for a show? Is it something we're going to get in game? I know you can't tell us what it is, but
it's going to be in-game ship. We're going to be doing the usual 10 Forward Weekly that week. Only on Wednesday instead of its new Tuesday days, and we'll be having Thomas, and actually we'll be having on that particular 10 Forward Weekly, assuming everybody can make it, we'll be having the entire ship team on and talking, and also Jeremy from our systems team, and talking about what ship design philosophy is, both in numbers and aesthetics, and what it all means. So that's very exciting.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that it won't just be one ship, that we'll actually get more than one. I guess that's all I'll say. But
Yeah.
so
Could you ask the associate art
more than one.
director about that? I think he might have an opinion or two.
I don't want to overpromise, because some of the
Yeah,
work
no,
isn't
true.
actually done yet. So as long as it gets done in time, my hope is actually we're gonna have quite a bit to show off. That I think people will be surprised and excited to see some of it. But I just don't want to, you don't want to tip your hand too early in case complications arise.
In case something goes horribly wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually been one of the things about this whole process. It's like things have been going relatively smoothly so far, and so I just keep waiting for something to blow up and go terribly wrong.
There's still time, right? No, fingers
Yeah,
crossed.
well, we had, I won't get too specific, but we actually had something kind of like that happen right before Sunday night at 11:50 p.m.
Oh yeah.
we got an email saying, "Oh, so and so can't actually make it. Can you remove them from the poster?" And I'm just like staring at my phone, like, what do I do? This is going live at 8 in the morning. Should I try to like get it? And like I texted Mike furiously. He's like, "Okay, all right, I'll go make new things." And then like a few minutes went by, and I'm like, "Oh, never mind. It's way too late to deal with this.
We'll put a disclaimer in the morning that they were on the poster and they shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
Last minute card subject to change.
Yeah, and then after going through that entire thought process and like bothering Mike on Teams and in text message, then another email comes through. It's like, oh, never mind. They can come after all.
It's Murphy's Law. I've been there.
Yeah.
It's like Murphy's reverse law or something.
Murphy's revenge.
All right. Well, I think that answers most of the questions I had. I will say that the Stellar Service was the one that really caught my attention as well. That I'm really looking forward to. But and I'm also I'm glad we have a lot of content creators that we know, and there's a lot of names I'm not familiar with too. I'm one of those people that watched every Star Trek there was, and I never wanted to see behind the scenes ever. And for that reason, even to this day, I can still barely name a lot of the actors and their real names, that is, and those kinds of things. So a lot of times I'll see lists of names of people that are going to be around, and I'm like, I got to Google their picture, have I seen them before, if it's an on-screen person or whatnot. So I'm at a point though in my life where I do want to see that stuff. So now I'm learning, but so I'm really looking forward to this. Is there any last thoughts, anything else you guys wanted to add?
I just think, if you've ever wanted to go to a Star Trek convention and haven't, or if you just, really love Star Trek and want a cool day with your friends and, people who really love this stuff, it's free. There's no reason not to check it out. Come and give it a look and learn some really cool stuff. I like so much how this is about so many different aspects of Star Trek ships. It's not just, ships pretty, and in episode 30-7 they did this cool thing. We're really diving into science and technology and real world applications and the military and stuff. So it's really great, and I'm really excited to be a part of it and to see where it goes.
Yeah, and thanks, Mike. I really appreciate everything you've done to make it a reality and to support it.
All three things that I've done.
And I'll echo what Mike said, and I also want to encourage people. Like if you want to do, if you're having a stream that week and you want to, um, uh, promote it and join the party in your own way. Like hit me up on Twitter, and
Yeah.
we can retweet it and we can do fun stuff. I think it's just going to be like so. I'll admit something that I think is kind of funny, but originally it was going to be just like the day of ships, right? Like it was just going to be that panel day, and we were trying to find a name for it. And in San Francisco, New York, places like that, there is a real thing that happens called Fleet Week, where the Navy shows up and gives people tours of ships, and and there'll be air shows and other events. And I was like, oh, cool. It'd be cool if we if we could call this Fleet Week. Too bad it's not a whole week of stuff. And I was like, well, it
What
could
if
be.
it was?
What if it was? It's up to us. So that's why that's how it became all these these other events.
Yeah,
linked
and it was
together.
really cool because it gave us an opportunity. Like you said, we reached out to some people we've worked with before, some people we haven't, to just try and get as many Star Trek creators out there as we can.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and I'll be jumping in to some of those streams myself. I think just stopping by and chatting with people, kind of informally, and we've got some other fun goodies lined up. So I just think if you want to join in that week with your own stuff, just join the conversation on Twitter, and we'll be happy to see you there.
And will all of everything that's listed on the schedule that will be going through the Cryptic channel?
Yeah, it'll be on twitch.tv/Cryptic Studios and likely on our Facebook and YouTube pages as well.
Okay, that was going to be my next question for the YouTube
yeah.
side.
Are we just gonna, Mike? I guess I'm just asking you right here, right now.
Yeah.
Are we gonna host the other channels or something?
We are.
Okay.
So, and
Cool.
if like Thomas said, if you've got an idea for something you want to do during Fleet Week and you're a Star Trek content creator, definitely reach out to us on Twitter. We reached out to the people we did reach out to, but more the merrier, and it'd be fun to do more stuff that week. So hit us up, and we'll send you. We'll work on that. Maybe we can get you hosted as well. And obviously, on our social media, we'll be directing people to those creators' original channels and such.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to speak for Mike, but I'm always happy to just, at the very least, retweet people, right? And just be like, oh, hey, check this out. So
yeah.
Awesome. And I'll post links for the event itself, the Twitch page, all of those things down in the description for this video. So if anybody is lost or unaware of how to get there, those will be right underneath us for you. All right. Well, I think that that does it. I really appreciate you guys giving me the time to go through this stuff. I saw the post and I just
thanks for having us, man.
I got to know more. Yeah. Definitely. Awesome.
Well, that's great. That's your reaction is the reaction we want. So
yes,
we appreciate it.
Would you like to know more?
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Cool.
Appreciate you being here. Have a good one.
You too.
You too.